everybody. How's everyone doing today? Good. Are you guys all excited to be here? Yeah, that's good to hear. I always like coming back to the zoo here just because I'm a graduate of this program. I graduated back in 1995, so I feel old every time I come here. But it's always cool to see what's changed, what's new. And this is your zoo. This is the only zoo open to the public here in Ventura County. So it's pretty special, not only because it's our only zoo, but because they do something that very few places do. People come from all over the world to go here to learn how to work with wild animals. And working with wild animals is something that I think is not only super cool, but it's also super important. It's important not only to our community, but to our planet. And if we don't have people on the front lines who know how to handle animals, to know how to train animals, and interact with the public and be able to teach people like yourselves how important these animals are to our planet and our future, we're all in big, big trouble. So it's so cool that you guys are here. It's great that you brought your kids, and I brought some more animals to share with you. After I graduated the program, I went on to work a couple different places. I trained animals for the movies for a little while, and then I worked for Michael Jackson at his ranch with some of his animals for a little while, and then I went on to start my own organization. So I've been going since about 2000. Since 2000, I founded Saving Wildlife International, and we're a nonprofit wildlife conservation organization. And like a lot of other Eden graduates, we take in displaced wild animals. These animals have nowhere to go. A lot of times people think, oh, we'll just put it back in the wild, but that's not realistic for a lot of different reasons. It becomes a political issue. It becomes an issue of maybe of simply space. It can be putting an animal in another animal's territory, and a lot of times animals that have been in human care would never survive in the wild. So it's so important that these animals have somewhere to go. And this includes both native species and exotics. So we give these animals a home. Instead of them living out their lives in enclosure, they get to come out and they get to teach people just like you how amazing and important they are. So today I brought you some pretty cool animals. I brought you some reptiles, I brought you some mammals, and I brought you a really cool bird. So you guys might see some of the same animals here at the zoo, but they're not as cool as mine. So I hope you guys like what I'm about to show you, because I brought you guys some good ones today. Let's see. I can start with an animal from South America. This is a little guy that is, I think, super, super cool. I told you guys, sit up in the front because a lot of the animals I have are kind of small. So I'll try to move around a little bit so you guys can all get a nice close look at this first animal, because he is on the smaller side and he is super cool. You're going to want to see him up close because he looks like a cross between an alien and a dinosaur. So let me get him up. So here he is. This is Roland. Everybody say hi to Roland. And Roland is the three-banded armadillo. And these guys are the only species, only type of armadillo that can roll up into a ball. So when he is threatened, he will tuck his head and his tail together like, I already made somebody cry, like puzzle pieces, so he stays perfectly safe. His hard shell is part of his skeletal structure, and it is made of bone. So it's covered with skin, and he has nerve endings and blood supply. He can feel when you touch him. He's not like a turtle or a tortoise's shell, so he can definitely feel that. He is a mammal, and he is pretty darn amazing. He's a three-band armadillo. We know that because he has 3 bands on his back. Here in the United States, we have his cousin, the 9-banded armadillo. You know how many bands that one has? 9. Yeah, you guys are smart. He has 9 bands. He has a cousin, the 6-band armadillo, the 7-band armadillo. There's even a species of armadillo called the giant armadillo found in southern Mexico that's super endangered and could easily go extinct within our lifetime if we don't start to help them out. One of the reasons I always like sharing an armadillo is because this is an animal that we all know about, but rarely do we ever get to see. These guys are normally underground, and it's an animal that is pretty cool once you get to know them, but most people don't take that time. And when we think about conservation, we think about animals like polar bears and panda bears, these iconic animals that are super cute. We forget about animals like this. But if we don't start helping out animals like the armadillo, they could easily be gone. These guys are in okay shape. They are on the decline, but their cousin, like I said, the giant armadillo, is in big, big trouble. And they're amazing animals. They spend most of their lives underground, and they use their nose and their ears to find their food. So these guys will listen for things like worms. Anyone here ever try to hear a worm? Not easy to do, but they have very acute hearing, so they can hear underground, and they use their nose to smell for those worms and their other favorite food, which would be roots. You guys like to eat roots? No? You guys like French fries? Yeah, well, French fries are made from potatoes, and potatoes are roots. So if you like potatoes or French fries, you have something in common with our armadillo. I'll set him down here because it's kind of cool to watch him walk a little bit. He walks right on his little, the edge of his claws, and if you listen closely, you can hear him kind of clicking along as he's walking. Where is that from? These guys are from South America. They're found in countries like Brazil. Now, it's probably difficult for most of you to see, but he has little hairs all on his underside. He even has little teeny tiny hairs all on his back. And that's how he feels his way around when he's underground. So these guys spend most of their lives underground looking for food, and they're really pretty amazing little animals. And I'm happy to share them with you. I normally bring a couple more of these guys to do a really cool jumping act. But today, we'll put him away and we'll meet our next animal. So say goodbye to Roland. We'll put Roland a break. By the way, Roland came to us from another nonprofit organization down in San Diego, and he does have a wife, so eventually we might have some offspring, which would be really cool. When they're born, they're about the size of a golf ball, which is something I can't wait to see. I've never seen a little baby one, so that'd be really cool. What else do I have for you guys? Oh, another animal from South America. We'll try and stick to the same continent. This next animal, the smallest animal I brought today, and even though she's very small, she tends to get a pretty big reaction. That's because this animal, a lot of people are afraid of. They're afraid of her because she looks different. But we all know if an animal looks different, does that mean it's bad? No, not at all. Just means we need to take more time to understand it. This is a great life lesson. We do shows primarily in schools, and animals can teach us so many lessons, not only about why they're important to the planet and conservation and science, but also about how to treat each other and how to accept animals or people that might be a little bit different. This is Rosie. Now, I'm going to introduce her to you, but you have to promise me that you won't scream when you meet her. You know why? Spider. It hurts my ears. That man's psychic. It is a spider. Check her out. I have great insurance, don't worry about it. You're fine. This is the Chilean rose-haired tarantula, and if you look closely, she has a beautiful pink color. It's kind of hard to see in here, but if you were to see Rosie in the sun, you would see that she has a beautiful pink color. Now, a lot of people are... She has that beautiful pink color. A lot of people are afraid of spiders. This animal has less venom than a honeybee, so she can't hurt any of us. Unless you're allergic to bees, you're probably all right. And what else can I tell you about her? Like I said, an animal that looks different. She has how many legs? 8 legs and 8 eyes. Unless you're a pirate, you probably have 2 eyes and 2 legs. So she definitely looks different from us. Looks different from most other animals. She has hair all over her body. That's super special because that helps her not only feel her way around, kind of like the armadillo, but also is a means of defense. If you were to get too close to this animal, one of the things that she might do to defend herself is kick off little hairs on her backside. So she'll use her back legs and she'll actually throw up little hairs. It's like a smoke screen of hairs, and that is a great means of defense. Normally, because these guys, if an animal's chasing after them, it's on their same level. And if you've ever had a hair in your eye, you'll know that it's not a very comfortable thing. So that's one of the ways she defends herself. Now, this spider spends most of her life on the ground, and she'll spin a web on the ground. And her web is like a tripwire. So if a little bug steps on her web, she'll feel it with her very sensitive feet, and then she'll run over, and she'll bite that bug, and suck out all the insides. Just like a juice box. That's how these guys do it. You guys want to see if she'll spin a web for us? Yeah. Alright. I'm going to touch those little spinnerets. Let's see if she'll spin a web. You guys see that? Yeah, you won't see that on Animal Planet. That's pretty cool. That web, thinner than one of the hairs on your head. It's actually not just one strand of web. It's probably about 40 to 50 little strands, and has a stronger tensile strength than steel. So super strong stuff. We're actually genetically modifying goats and using goat milk to get spider webs, which is pretty crazy. So there's all these crazy spider web making goats, and then one day we may make synthetic spider webs, or man-made spider webs, and build things like bridges out of them, because that is an amazing resource, amazing material. Now, spiders have what we call an exoskeleton. Can you guys let touch your elbow? Feel the bones inside your body. Easy to forget that we have a skeleton inside each one of us. But every time around Halloween, I look at all these skeletons and I'm like, that's crazy because I am a skeleton. I have a skeleton inside me, just like all you guys do. But not the spider. These guys have what we call an exoskeleton, or outside skeleton, and that means that they have no internal bones. All of their internal organs are held in by kind of a hard shell. It's like a built-in suit of armor all over her body. And if I were to drop our spider, she could actually crack her skeleton. And that would be bad news for her. About once a year, she'll make a little hatch on the top of her body. She'll be soft for just a few hours, and then she'll wiggle her way through that hatch, and she can grow a brand new skeleton when she molds her old one. It's pretty crazy. She can get all new hair on her body, and she can even regenerate a leg when she molts or sheds her exoskeleton. It's pretty cool. You know, one of the things I always tell kids is it'd be super cool if one of these guys grew up, became a scientist, and learned from spiders how to grow new legs for people. You know, all animals have stuff to teach us, even the ones that might seem a little bit different or a little bit creepy. All right, let's say goodbye to Rosie. Now, the reason we have Rosie is because some silly person didn't do their homework. They didn't realize that this animal, which is legal to own, she's pretty easy to care for, but she lives a long time. And I keep saying she because this is a female. This is a girl spider. If this were a boy, he wouldn't be with us anymore. Male spiders like this, they may live about 5 years, but a female spider can live upwards of 20 years. So that person didn't want a 20-year commitment, so they gave it to our organization. We have enough creatures, so we don't need any more. So, a gentle reminder, if you guys want to add a new member to your family, do your homework. It doesn't hurt, and it's a great way to really provide well for that animal. All right, let's say goodbye to Rosie one more time. And let's meet another animal. All right, what else do I have for you guys? I have an animal that I know you guys are going to like to meet. This animal comes from Africa, comes from a very special place in Africa, a place that most of you are probably familiar with, or at least have heard of. It's an island off the southeast coast of Africa called Madagascar. Madagascar is the 4th largest island in the world, and it's home to plants and animals that are found nowhere else. I normally don't talk about plants, but they have these super cool trees. They're called baobab trees, and they're as big around as this building, and they look like something from Dr. Seuss. They're thousands of years old, and they're really, really cool. If you're not familiar with baobab trees, check them out because they are absolutely amazing. There's a baobab tree on the mainland in Africa, and they actually built a bus station inside of it. That's how big they are. So they're really cool trees. The animals on Madagascar are just as cool. Animals like lemurs. You know, lemurs are one of my favorite animals. The organization's first animal was a lemur. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but they are amazing, amazing animals. You can see some right here at the zoo. I believe they have ringtail lemurs and maybe some brown lemurs. What else you got? Ringtail lemurs. All right, you guys can see lemurs today, which is really a treat because they're endangered. It's an animal that's in trouble. It needs our help. You know, my vet was recently in Madagascar, and he told me that he went to a national park. One of the few places where you can still see lemurs, because Madagascar's rainforests, they've been cut down at a pretty alarming rate, and it's pretty sad. Depending on what statistics you listen to, 90% of Madagascar's tropical rainforests have been cut down, which is pretty devastating to the animals there. So we really need to help them out. Anyway, my vet was in Madagascar. He said that he went to the national park, saw lemurs jumping from tree to tree, said it was an amazing experience. As soon as he left the gates of that national park, there were people on the side of the road selling lemurs for $15. Those people are easily vilified, but they don't have the same opportunities that we do. It's easy to judge them, but when they're trying to feed their family and just get by, they have to do whatever they can. And sadly, that sometimes means that they're selling animals like lemurs. They also may sell an animal like this. This animal comes from Madagascar, and like most of the animals there, it's another endangered species. Another animal that's in trouble and needs our help because there's not very many of his kind left. This is Bowie, and Bowie is the endangered Dumourel's boa constrictor. Isn't he beautiful? I said, isn't he beautiful? Yeah. I think this thing is absolutely stunning, and believe it or not, he actually isn't looking as well as he normally does because he is going to shed probably in a week or two. I can tell because his colors aren't quite as bright as they usually are, and his eyes are getting kind of cloudy. We sometimes refer to it as being blue. So they have special scales over their eye. We call them eye caps. And when they shed all the scales on their body once every few months, that special scale will come off along with all the other scales, and he'll get a brand new lens over his eye. You know, there's a lot of myths about snakes. A long time ago, people used to think that snakes would hypnotize you because they just stare. They don't stare, they just can't blink their eyes. They have that special eyelid, or that special scale rather. Now, this snake looks different not only because it doesn't blink its eyes, but because it's missing things that a lot of other animals have. It's missing arms, it's missing legs, it's missing hair on its body, and it's even missing ears. So it's missing a lot of things that other animals have. You can see that our snake is sticking out his tongue. You guys know what a snake does when they stick out their tongue? What do they do? They smell. No. They go, you're right, they do. They smell. They smell with their tongue. They have a special organ in the top of their mouth. It's called the Jacobson's organ. It has 2 little holes in it. And those 2 little holes are important because his tongue is forked. It's in 2 parts. When he sticks his tongue back into his mouth, it goes into those 2 little holes, and that helps give him a sense of direction. So if he smells something stronger with the right fork, he'll go to the right. And if he smells something stronger with the left fork, he'll go to the left. Now, this snake is pretty darn amazing. Like most snakes, he can slither across the ground, but he can also climb up a tree, he can swim across the river, all without having any arms or legs. These guys are super important. They eat a lot of animals that we consider pests, and simply put, if we didn't have animals like the snake, like the hawk, like the owl, we'd be overrun with rodents, and there might not be enough food to feed all the people in the world. So these guys, very important to our planet. Like I said, this guy's endangered. These guys are found in some of the drier forests in Madagascar, but they are absolutely, I think, stunning snakes and super important to our planet. By the way, this guy just ate the other day. I wasn't sure if I was going to use him in the show because he has a big bulge in his belly. He ate a big old rat. That's what these guys love to eat. When these guys feed, they will stick out their tongue, see if there's something good to eat. They'll strike onto it, strike out, bite onto it. They hang on with about 200 little teeny tiny teeth. They're like little needles. And then he'll wrap his body around that animal. This is a constrictor, so he'll constrict or squeeze that animal until that animal dies. And then he'll open his mouth really, really wide. Let's see how wide you guys can open your mouth. If you guys could open your mouth as wide as a snake, you could swallow a watermelon in one bite. A snake can eat something 3 to 5 times the size of its head. It eats one really big dinner, and then it doesn't need to eat again for a while. But, you know, I'm actually jealous of the snake, because I'm not a very good cook, but this snake eats that one really big dinner. Some of the largest snakes, like the reticulated python or the anaconda, they could eat something as big as a whole pig or a whole deer, and they might not need to eat again for 6 months to a year. So snakes really are amazing, amazing animals. And I'm happy to share this guy with you. All right, let's wave goodbye to our snake, because remember, snakes don't have any ears, so we wave goodbye. And we'll put our snake back in his bag. The reason we keep our snake in a bag is because this supports his whole body weight. If he were to travel in a carrier like some of our other animals, he'd be sliding around, wouldn't be too happy. So he hangs out like he's in a hammock when he goes to shows. All right, what else do I have for you guys? I have some animals from, another animal from Africa. This next animal does something kind of gross. You guys want to meet an animal that does something gross? Yeah. That's why I'm here. This is Prince. Everyone say hi to Prince. And Prince is the African bullfrog or African pixie frog. They get the name pixie frog because their scientific name is Pixiphalis, but he looks nothing like a pixie. He looks pretty big and impressive, but that's mostly because he's full of air, just like some people I know. But if I give him a little poke right here, you can see that he's full of air, just like a balloon. And he wants to look big and impressive when he does a show. So he fills up with air. Sometimes you'll see guys doing this when they go to the beach. They fill it with air. So a pretty amazing frog. He's still growing. When he gets to be his adult size, he can be the size of a dinner plate. These guys get pretty darn big. The largest bodied frog in the world and the second largest species of frog in the world. Now, these guys come from Africa. And they come from the savannas of Africa. They hang out there, and they hang out in the watering holes. Because they're amphibians, they have special skin. They can actually absorb water through their skin, just like a sponge. They hang out in those watering holes, and in Africa, it's kind of like California. It's wet part of the year, and it's dry part of the year. And during the wet season, there's lots of water in the watering hole. The grass is green. The elephants and the zebra and the giraffes, they're all coming to get a drink where Prince lives. Everything's good. Prince is eating lots of food, hanging out with his friends. Everything's cool. But eventually that watering hole, it starts to dry up. And the grass turns from green to brown. And all the animals know that they have to go find new food and new water. So they walk away. They migrate to find new food and new water. But not Prince. He has little tiny legs. He can't go very far. So he has to stay there.
His watering hole eventually dries up and becomes a mud hole. And remember, he has that special skin. He can dry out if he doesn't stay wet. So he has to do something, and he has to do it in a hurry. He'll actually dig down with his little legs, make it about 1.5 feet under the mud, make a little cave under there, and then his body will start to ooze mucus. You guys all know what mucus is, right? Yeah? It comes out of your nose when you're sick. It's pretty gross. It covers his whole body in mucus. It's kind of like nature's Ziploc bag. That keeps him nice and wet in his little mucus bubble in his little cave. Eventually the mud dries up. It dries up, becomes as hard as rock, and gets cracks in it. Those cracks is how this guy is able to breathe underground. He hangs out underground with no food, no water, no iPhone, nothing for up to 6 months. These guys are underground. They're waiting and waiting and waiting. They're waiting for it to rain. So eventually, one day it'll rain. Rain will come down through the cracks, it'll touch his back. He'll say, I'm out of here. He'll peel off his mucus bubble. He'll roll it up into a ball. You guys know what a ball of mucus is called? It's called a booger. You know what he does with his booger? He eats his booger. Oh, like you guys have never done that. I drive down the 405 all the time. I see people do boogers. Right. So these guys, they eat that booger. That gives them enough energy to then have enough energy to crawl out of their little cave and start the whole cycle again. They are truly amazing animals. All right, we are going to say goodbye to Prince unless someone wants to give him a kiss. And we'll meet our next animal. All right. All right. Give Prince a break, and let's meet an animal from right here in North America. A lot of times when I think about wild animals, I forget that we have some amazing creatures found right here in our own country. And this, in my opinion, is one of the most amazing creatures. Not only is it an amazing creature, it's an amazing predator. And we all know that a predator is an animal that hunts and kills other animals. And this is definitely a hunter. This is definitely a meat eater. A meat eater is sometimes referred to as another word for it. I can't remember right now. What is it? Carnivore. Can you all say carnivore? Good job. So, it's a carnivore, it's a meat eater. He comes from the southeast part of the United States. Now, like I said, we have amazing predators here. We have eagles, black bears, grizzly bears, mountain lions. We have coyotes and rattlesnakes, all kinds of amazing predators. This animal will eventually grow to be one of the largest predators here in North America. He can be twice as long as my table, that's 12 feet, and weigh over 500 pounds. Are you guys ready to meet him? Yeah. All right, bring him in. I'm just kidding, he's right here. He's right here. Let me get him out. Check him out. This is Gumbo. Everyone say hi to Gumbo. Hi, Gumbo. Now, before I tell you what Gumbo is, I want to see if you guys can guess. Raise your hand if you think Gumbo might be... I didn't even say anything yet. Raise your hand if you think he's an alligator. And raise your hand if you think he's a crocodile. And raise your hand if you raise your hand more than one time. And raise your hand if you were just too cool to raise your hand. Yeah. That's your parents right there. Alright, now, this animal is the American alligator. By the way, do we have crocodiles here in the United States? It's a good thing I'm here. Yes, we do. We have the American crocodile, which is a very endangered species. We thought that they were extinct. We thought they were all gone. It isn't until we found a small population in southern Florida. It was in a protected area near a nuclear power plant that we learned they're still with us. They glow a little bit, but they are still with us. Now, this animal is pretty amazing. We're very lucky to have this guy because, like I said, only two kinds of alligators, the American alligator and his cousin, the Chinese alligator. Chinese alligators, very, very rare, very endangered, only about 300 left in the wild. We're very lucky that the LA Zoo has some Chinese alligators, so if you ever want to see one, they're a little bit smaller than their American cousins, and they are absolutely beautiful animals. This animal loves to swim. Raise your hand if you like to swim. Very cool. That's why your parents don't put in a pool, right there. They don't like to swim. So, these guys, they love to swim. They don't swim with these little puny arms and legs, though. They'll actually tuck those on the sides of their body, just like that. And they move their tail back and forth through the water. That tail, it gives them lots and lots of power, and that's how they're able to get around. That tail is also where they store fat. Some of us store fat in our bellies. These guys, they store fat in that tail, which is pretty cool. Now, when they're underwater, they close their eyes. Do you guys close your eyes when you're underwater? Yeah? Or maybe put goggles on? Alright, I told you should have sat up front, because I want to show you guys the alligator's eyes. Look really close, and you can see when he opens them back up, he has 2 sets of eyelids. He can close his eyes 2 different ways. He has a clear lens. It goes across his eye like a little windshield wiper, and that helps protect his eye. The water that these guys swim in, it isn't crystal clear pool water. It's dirty, it's murky, it's swamp water, and that second eyelid, super important. So he has those amazing eyes, and he also has amazing ears. And I'll show you his ears in just a second. We'll show everybody over here. Look close. So he has amazing eyes. His ears are right behind his eyes, just like our ears are, but they don't stick out like people's ears. Check this out. This little flap of skin I'm lifting up is Gumbo's ears. So he can hear incredibly well when he's underwater. He can see underwater. And when he's underwater, like I said, moves that tail back and forth, and he's looking for something to eat. These guys are carnivores, so they only eat meat, and they'll eat whatever they can find as long as it's meat. They might eat a mammal, they might eat a fuzzy guy, they might eat a bird, they might eat something like another alligator or a turtle, but by far, their favorite thing to eat is fish. Do you guys like to eat fish? Yeah? These guys love to eat fish. Now, alligators, they want an easy meal. So they kind of just will sit in one spot and wait for fish to come to them. Now, why would a fish come up to an alligator? They do that because the alligator has a pretty cool trick. These guys, if you look close, he has little tiny black dots all around his mouth. And those little black dots, they resemble fish eggs. Now, if you've ever been fishing, you know that fish eggs make great bait because fish love to eat other fish eggs. So little fish, they'll come right up to his mouth and they'll start picking at those little black dots, thinking they're gonna get a snack. And when they do, it's amazing because chomp, he'll grab right out of the water. It's pretty cool. They have about 60 teeth in their mouth. Can you guys all show me your pinky? When these guys get big, their teeth will be almost as long as your pinky. They can get over 1,000 teeth in a lifetime. And one of the cool things about being an alligator, you never have to go to the dentist, you never have to brush your teeth, you just keep getting new ones. So, a really amazing animal. I'm happy to share with you. The reason we have Gumbo is because some silly person decided they want to have an alligator for a pet. In the state of California, that is against the law without special permits. That's the case with most wild animals in California. You need permits for these guys. And there's important reasons for that. These guys require permits because, remember, they get really big and they eat meat. So they might eat something like you or a piece of you, and that would not be a good thing. So Gumbo was confiscated. He was taken away from those people who had him illegally, and he was placed with our organization. That's how we get a lot of animals, and we're happy to keep Gumbo at home, but we don't need any more alligators. We actually turned down a lot of alligators. I think already this year we've turned down about 5 alligators, just because we don't have room for them, and they eat a lot, and they take up a lot of space, and we want people to do the right thing. So, if you see an alligator for sale, don't buy it. They are what we call a restricted species that require a permit here in California. All right, let's say goodbye to Gumbo the alligator. No, come on, you guys. You guys are horrible. Say, see you later. Alligator. All right, that's all right, we'll put Gumbo away. And let's see another animal. Another animal from right here in North America. This next animal is an animal that we should all know about and we should all love because this next animal is our official California state reptile. So let me get her out. Alright, let's see. She's right here. Here she is. Everyone say hello to Gilda. Hi, Gilda. Gilda is the California desert tortoise, and she's a tortoise, she's not a turtle. We know that because A, I said so, and B, she has elephant-like feet and rounded nails. If this were a turtle, they would have sharp claws and webbed feet. That's because turtles are usually found in or near water, and tortoises are usually found on land. There's always some exceptions, but she is definitely a tortoise. She is from the deserts of California, but they're also found in states like Arizona, Nevada, and as far east as Utah, and California claimed them as our own. So They are super, super cool animals because they can live in the hottest place on the planet. That would be Death Valley. It once reached 134 degrees there. And these guys keep the heat by digging underground. They dig burrows or holes underground, and that's where they hang out during the hottest part of the day. That's also where they go to sleep all winter long. They go to sleep for several months every winter, and just like a bear, they're out. And they'll wake up in the springtime. Actually, Gilda woke up just a few weeks ago, and they're hungry because they haven't eaten in a long time. So they eat all the different plants that grow in the desert. Unlike our alligator that's a carnivore, this is a herbivore, so she only eats plants. So she eats grass and flowers, and she can even eat certain types of cactus, eats the spines of the cactus and all. It's actually pretty amazing. So she can eat those juicy cactus. That's how she gets most of the water inside her body. These guys are asleep. They're hibernating the few times it might rain in the desert in the winter, so they don't miss out on drinking that water. It's said a tortoise like this may only drink water about once every 5 years in the wild. That's it. Most of their water comes from those nice juicy cactus. Now, these guys, I'm sad to say, are an endangered species. They're endangered because of all of us. We love this tortoise so much. People be hiking through the desert or maybe riding around in the desert in their off-road vehicles. They'd see a tortoise and they'd pick it up and they'd take it home. So many people did that now there's not a whole lot of these guys left. Fortunately, they breed incredibly well in captivity, which is a good thing. So their numbers are increasing and their captive populations are strong, but you want to leave their wild cousins alone. If you want one of these guys, you can legally adopt one. You have to jump through a few hoops first, but it's not terribly difficult, and it's the right thing to do. If you were to take a wild tortoise home, not only would that be against the law, you could be faced with a fine of over $5,000 and spend a year in jail. It's against the law to even touch one of these guys, and there's an important reason. If you guys are out in the desert, and you're lucky enough to see a tortoise, the best thing to do, leave them alone. Don't pick them up, don't try and touch them, even just to check them out. Because if you were to pick a wild tortoise up, they can only do one thing to say, hey, put me down. They can't bite, they can't scratch, they can't run away. The only thing they can really do is pee on you. And if they pee on you, that's like them emptying out their canteen in the desert, and then they can dehydrate and be in big trouble. So, very important to leave them where they belong. They're amazing animals. They can live for over 75 years. And they are our official California state reptile. All right, let's say goodbye to Gilda. And I think I have a couple more for you guys. So let me introduce you to an animal from Australia. This animal I enjoy sharing because he's a lot of fun. And it's an animal that most of us have heard of, but may have never seen. So actually, why don't I have the help of a very brave volunteer? Somebody's feeling brave, somebody feeling strong. Let's see, how about the young lady in the gray? Yeah, since I scared you with the alligator. Yeah. What's your name? What is it? Camille. All right, you stand right here, Camille. Are you feeling brave today? A little? Are you feeling strong? You want to show over your muscles? All right, good job. You stay right there while I get out our next animal. Like I said, this is an animal that most of us have heard but may have never seen. It's kind of a funny thing to say, but you'll understand in just a minute while I get him out. Let me get him here. All right, here he is. Have you ever seen a bald eagle up close, Camille? There's one right down the road. You're getting the extended version. All right. Have you ever heard that noise, Camille? No? Now you have. This is a kookaburra. Have you ever heard of a kookaburra? Yeah? So I was going to embarrass Camille and have her do her best kookaburra call, but our bird took mercy on her and did it for her. Why don't you give a little pet right there and tell everybody what he feels like?
Soft. He feels like, it's like soft.
Exactly. Very soft. Somebody said he kind of feels like a blanket. I thought that was a good description. So he feels super soft. So this bird, he'll make that noise for a few different reasons. He'll make that noise as a territorial call. He'll make that noise as a warning sign. There might be danger near. So these guys live in Australia, so they're out in the outback and they start vocalizing like that. Kangaroo seals will perk up. They'll say, I better be on high alert because the kookaburras are making a big racket. And they may even make that noise when they want to get a girlfriend. So I think he likes you, Camille. Why don't we give Neil a round of applause? You did a great job. You can have a seat. I'll tell you a little bit more about our kookaburra. Now here at the zoo, we have a kookaburra, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can see another kookaburra here at the zoo. And these birds, absolutely amazing. They're the largest member of the Kingfisher family. There's 81 different species, 81 different kinds of kingfishers that are found all over the world, including right here in Southern California. We have his cousin, the belted kingfisher. And the belted kingfisher is a lot smaller and kind of a bluish gray color. Really cool bird. Next time you guys go anywhere near the ocean, keep your eyes open, look up in trees and telephone poles. You might see the belted kingfisher. But one of the cool things about kookaburras is, or kingfishers rather, is they can be found in many different colors. They can be purple and pink and yellow and green and blue and brown and black and white, all different colors. And I think that's one of the things that makes them so super cool. Now, kookaburras in particular eat things other than fish. So they'll eat things like lizards and snakes. But first they have to find them. They'll sit high up in the eucalyptus trees in Australia, and they'll scour the ground for any movement. Now, if the tree starts to move up and down in the wind, he can hold his head perfectly still while his body moves up and down. Will you guys all try that? Hold your head perfectly still, move your body up and down. Thank you. So, it's not easy to do, but our kookaburra has a long, flexible neck under all those feathers. So, that makes him great at finding his food. If he finds something to eat, he'll go down and he'll grab it. Not with his feet like a hawk or an eagle. They have sharp claws on their feet called talons. That's what they use to hunt with. And they have a beak that's curved that's made for ripping and tearing meat. These guys, they have claws on their feet, but they're not very sharp. And he has a straight beak. So when he finds something good to eat, he has to grab with his beak and beat it silly. He can even eat something like a venomous snake, and he does so by grabbing that snake and then throwing his head back and forth and back and forth. That will kill the snake, break up the bones inside that snake, allowing him to swallow it whole. It's pretty cool. So he is an amazing, amazing bird, and I love sharing him. You guys want to hear him one more time?
Yeah.
All right. I'll count to 3, and you can all do your very best bird. Are you guys ready? You guys got to be loud. We all do it. You might do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! Good job, people. You scared the dude about it. All right.
Where are you going?
Give it up for him. Come on. All right, and he goes, I have one more animal to share with you. I know you're going to like her because she's super, super cute and super smart. That's the way I like my women. So let me get our next animal. She comes from South America, and her name is, well, hang on, let me make this. Her name is Jasper. I'm going to say hello to Jasper. We'll put Jasper's leash on because we don't want things to be any more exciting than they already are. So there we go, Jasper. Come here. Now, Jasper is, of course, a monkey, but she's not just any monkey. Jasper is a Capuchin monkey, and you can see Capuchin monkeys found right here. What are you talking about? I think she sees somebody, she sees her mom over there, and she's like, I want to hear a show, I want to go and hang out with mom. I'm highly trained, I went here. So, these guys, they come from South America, and they're absolutely amazing animals. They're one of the smartest little monkeys around, and they spend most of their lives high up in the trees. Rarely will they ever come down to the ground. They spend their lives in trees because animals like jaguars live on the ground. They might want to eat them for lunch, so they stay safe up in the trees with their families. A family of these guys is called a troop. And to get around in the trees, they have some amazing adaptations, some special body parts that help them to survive. First thing I want to tell you about is her hands. Can you all show me your hand? Move the fingers on your hand, the thumb on your hand. If you look closely, Jasper has 4 little fingers and a little thumb, kind of like you guys. She has fingerprints that are unique to her. She has little fingernails. She has hair on her hands, kind of like your dad. And those hands, super important. They help her to grab onto branches and her food. If that weren't enough, she also has a really cool thumb right on her foot. That thumb also is like, helps her to grab onto branches and her food. She can eat dinner with her feet, which is pretty cool. And you guys can try that tonight when you go home. So these guys have amazing feet, amazing hands. she'll never fall, and if that weren't enough, she also has a really cool tail. She has what we call a prehensile tail, and she can actually support her entire body weight from that tail. That's important because these guys, like I said, spend most of their lives high up in the trees looking for things to eat. They'll eat leaves, they'll eat maybe an egg out of a bird's nest, they'll eat maybe a nice juicy bug, but what they really like to eat is fruit. You guys like to eat fruit? Yeah. They love to eat fruit. When Jasper eats fruit, she does something super important. When she eats fruit, she eats the whole fruit. She'll eat the skin of the fruit, she'll eat the meat of the fruit, that's the good part that we like, and she'll also eat the seeds. Now, all animals have jobs to do, and her job is really important. Her job is to be the farmer of the rainforest. And she does that by eating those seeds and washing the seeds inside her belly. Do you guys know we have acid in our belly? Yeah? Your dad probably knows that. Maybe your mom too. We have acid in our belly, and that acid washes the tough outer coating of the seed off, and then she'll hop around the rainforest with her family, and she'll go poop. She'll poop out all those seeds. It's really gross, but it's also really important, because what grows from seeds? Exactly. These guys are the farmers of the rainforest. They replant the rainforest with their poop. It's one of the reasons you would not want to have a monkey for a pet. They try and plant trees all over your house. So, these guys, absolutely amazing animals. Like I said, super smart, super important to our planet. And Jasper is a super special animal because she came to us about a year or 2 years ago. And the first chapter of her life was spent up in San Francisco on Fisherman's Wharf. She was known as an organ grinder monkey. So somebody had her while they played an old-fashioned organ, they played music on the streets, and Jasper would collect money from people. Because she was interacting with the public, they removed all of her teeth. Which is a pretty crummy thing to do to any animal, but especially an animal like a monkey. These guys need their teeth for eating, they need their teeth for communicating, and they need their teeth for defending themselves. Because Jasper can't defend herself, we can't put her with any other monkeys at Saving Wildlife International. So Jasper and I spend a lot of time together. And I love her, and I love being able to share with you, but she really belongs in the wild. This animal, she deserves to be in the wild, and I'm sorry that she would never survive there, but she is a great addition to our program, and I can tell you, she is spoiled rotten. This animal has it pretty darn good, and she is absolutely amazing. She lived to be over 40 years. She's about 18 now, so we're going to be together a long, long time, I hope. And anyway, she is our last animal, and before I let you guys all go, I want to remind you of a few things that you can do to help out wildlife and the environment. First thing, simply learn more. You guys are already ahead of the game for most people. You're here hanging out at the zoo, you're with your families and your kids, and that is so important because the more we know about animals, or wildlife, or the environment, or anything else we care about, the more we can help. It's that simple. And we can learn more by reading books and magazines. We can learn more by watching TV shows on animals, or just supporting a place like America's Teaching Zoo. You know, our organization has social media pages like we all do, and I post an article on conservation. I'll get a few people liking it. I post a cute little picture. If I were to post a picture of Jasper wearing a hat, I could probably get 10 times the amount of people loving what I'm saying. It's really sad to me that as a culture and society that we've gotten really cheap. And I mean, we don't care about what's really important anymore. We need to stop and think about these animals are so important to our planet. Our kids are our future, and it's all about what we teach them and what we let them know is important. So I'm so glad to see you guys all here today. You guys can also do things to help out animals like save water. Raise your hand if you brush your teeth. You brush your teeth? About half of you guys, maybe? So I'm glad you guys are up there now. When you brush your teeth, simply turn off the water when you're brushing, and you can save 5 to 12 gallons of water every single day. Super important. Our water comes from Northern California, from lakes and rivers. The more water we save for us, the more water will be there for the animals. And you guys can also do things like pick up trash. Where does trash go? In the trash can. Your kids know. Everyone say, in the trash can. I see a bunch of slobs out there littering all over the place. I'm not saying you guys, but I walk my animals all through the Santa Monica Mountains, and I'm on a trail way out in the middle of nowhere, and I see trash, and it kills me. So if you see a piece of trash on the ground, even if it's really small, even if it's not yours, pick it up and put it where it belongs, in the trash can. Keep our environment nice and clean. not only for us, but also for the animals. And if you see a piece of trash that's really big or really gross, you know what you can do? You can have your mom or your dad help you out and put it in the trash can. Because mom and dad, you guys are all going to do that, right? Yeah, absolutely. So you guys were awesome. I hope you guys have a great day here at the zoo. And thank you guys for listening to me talk about animals. Take care.